fruitless mulberry. We do a lot of mulberry trees, and for some reason mulberry trees get pollarded a lot. Maybe it's because they grow so big and so wide, but a lot of my clients believe that the proper way of maintaining a big mulberry is to pollard it and to cut it back hard every single year. So what is a pollard? To pollard a tree, that's a term that we've used for a long time, and a lot of people misconstrue topping trees as pollarding a tree. There is a procedure where you keep cutting back to big knobs, and every year you're keeping the trees smaller, kind of like in Golden Gate Park, the sycamore trees, they get pollarded every year, and it's a way of keeping a tree down and keeping a tree small. There is a right way and a wrong way, and it's also something that people think is normal. Well, it's not. Pollarding actually is an ancient technique that goes way back to ancient European times, and what it was initially used for was people would cut back trees really hard, and they discovered that the resulting new growth would come out in these long straight shoots, and certain types of trees like the mulberry would put out 8 or 10 or 12 feet of new straight growth every year, so people would cut them back. And why did they do that? It had nothing to do with what was right for the tree. It had everything to do with building material. So they had long straight shoots that they could use for weaving fences or for in-house construction. You know, they would mishmash it all together for, you know, a multitude of different things, because a branch normally doesn't grow as one long straight shoot. It branches out and crisscrosses and everywhere. So if you have building material that follows what you need, then people continually did it. Now, let's go forward hundreds and hundreds of years. This procedure has been done for such a long time that people believe it's the right thing to do. The trees respond, they react. But is it good for the tree? No, it's not good for the tree. You end up with long-term decay pockets and long-term problems. If you do it the first time and continually maintain the integrity of the knobs, then you end up with much less decay inside those areas. So that's what I mean. There's a right way and a wrong way. Let's get back to the video. But as you can see, they get really big. But it's rare to find a mulberry tree that hasn't had past pollarding. So I try to tell my clients not to do this, and I want to show you why. Look at this decay. Every single crotch in this tree is rotting. There's decay throughout the entirety of the tree, everywhere. So whilst the tree is continuing to grow past these areas of decay, the decay is ultimately going to cause branches to start ripping off. So I'm not quite sure what to say on this job. We're up here trimming it, but it's a light trim. We're getting it away from the roof. I'm going to thin it out. I'm going to cut out some of these big dead areas. But what really needs to be done is a significant weight reduction all the way around. But the client went on vacation. She said, go ahead and do it. They're in Croatia. And ironically, they didn't move any of their cars, so they've kind of left me in a tough position here. I think I should just make the tree look presentable and then reapproach her on the weight reduction. What a mess. Yeah, so from a distance, the tree looks really nice, really healthy, really full. Well, it's got a lot of foliage, but every single one of those defects from being pollarded in the past is going to mean a future area of potential failure, likely failure. I mean, it can't carry on the way it is. It's got to be cut back hard, but because they're not around, I really can't do it today. So we'll do the best we can and make that another job another day. So this is the finished product. We're leaving it full. It's summertime. They want the shade. I think what I need to do is talk to them about doing a hard pruning on this tree when it's dormant, because of all those decay pockets all the way around, I believe this tree is going to start self-destructing. But if I did it at this time of year, it would be really harsh. The sun would bake down on it and would probably make things worse. Not to mention they wouldn't have any shade. So it is what it is. It's a problem tree, but I'm trying to leave it presentable. You know, there's been a lot of old men in my life that were mentors to me, and I appreciate them. I really, really appreciate all that I've learned from these old guys in my life. Now I'm the old guy, so I'm passing stuff on to you. Here's an old man trick, and I think you're gonna like this. Certain types of wood, in my case, it's coast live oak, leaves a buildup of just really, really thick black oak that gets on the bar and gets on the chain, and it's a real pain. You gotta scrape it off. I go in there with a screwdriver. This is after I've cleaned it. And the problem with it getting so dirty is the chain doesn't run well, but also the thickness of the bar exceeds the distance from chain tip to chain tip, making it drag in the kerf. So you've got to keep it clean all the time. You've got to keep these bars nice and clean, keep the burrs off. Everything's got to work good. So I tried a whole bunch of different things. I've tried alcohol, I tried, acetone, I tried thinner, I tried fuel, I tried all kinds of stuff. Finally, I tried oven cleaner. I couldn't believe it. I put oven cleaner on this and let it sit for about 20 minutes with a paper towel, bunch of paper towels. It just wiped clean, including the chain. I am sold. There you go. Old man tip for the day. Take it for what it's worth. Liquidambar trees. Let me read a little bit from Wikipedia that I found here. The liquidambar, commonly called the sweet gum, star gum, red gum, satin walnut, or American storax, is the only genus in the flowering plant family Altingiaceae. I've never heard that word before. Anyway, long and the short of it, it's a very interesting tree. It's a deciduous tree, and it develops all these seed pods that are quite a nuisance. A lot of people butcher these trees. They cut them back too hard, and in this case, these 3 trees had been butchered repeatedly, and the client wanted us to trim them again. So I told him I'm not going to trim them the way they were trimmed before because, well, look at the problems that I'm finding everywhere I look. Really sad situation here because these trees could have been really nice trees, and from a distance they look like they're nice trees, but unfortunately they've got all these weaknesses that are directly associated with long-term improper pruning. So what we've got here is kind of a disaster. So what do we do about it? Now we have these trees that have been topped repeatedly and they're just full of decay, but there's lots of suckers and sprouts. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is the time of the year. It's very hot, so recutting these hard would just add insult to injury. So I'm making them as safe as I possibly can, but I'm alerting the client to the extreme decay and problems that they're talking about, and that they're going to have to keep up with these trees at least every couple of years. Sad story. I try to put a lot of little bits of information in these videos, and it's not all about the topic that I'm referring to. The topic is the main point, but I try to insert little ideas or little things that I've learned or things that people have told me that are going to help out. So it's kind of a tips or tricks continuation in my videos. I hope you appreciate it. And I really appreciate how everybody passes my videos on, forwards them to other people. If you've got groups that you belong to, be sure to hit the like button and comment. I really like the comments. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and help me out. If you can forward it to some friends or anybody that you think that would enjoy learning about trees and tree care, especially young aspiring arborists, because I really am trying to focus on that side of this business. Be safe out there.